Welcome to my TED Talk. What defines personal success? This is a common question that everybody should ask themselves at one point or another. But in our Western society, it seems as though this question has been answered for us in the form of the American dream. We've all heard it before. A spouse, 2.5 kids, a house, a white picket fence, and a dog running around. But should that really be the American dream? This idea is not as appealing as it was 60, 70 years ago, and has alienated a lot of young people from embracing the mindset of the American dream as well as the benefits that come with it. People are no longer inspired by the American dream. We need to modernize it so that people can embrace it and we can keep it as a positive part of our American culture. So, what's the problem with the American dream? Why aren't people so satisfied with it anymore? When I was researching this topic, I came across two very common answers. Number one, we're lazy and we don't want to work for it. Justin Stafford, a student at LSU, had this to say in his paper about the American dream. Many Americans are waiting on a check and already know what they want to spend it on. He elaborates further by saying, "It is the false notion that because they live in America, they should not face any adversity and deserve a reward for the challenges they have endured. The promise by politicians has become happiness and not the pursuit of it." What Justin is trying to say is that the American dream relies on hard work, and more people just aren't willing to put it in. While these are some very harsh words, there is some truth to it. People are starting to misunderstand the idea of the American dream, and because of that, they're getting fed up and just disowning it. However, I feel as though the problem more heavily lies in answer B, which is that the American dream creates a toxic standard. Does it really make sense to hold every American to the same standard? While I guess there is no requirement to complete the American dream, as long as it's there and present in our society, there will be some pressure to accomplish it. It's like being a poor child at home and your parents boasting about how you can be just as successful as the private school rich kid who lives down the street. The idea of the American dream puts too much pressure on unrealistic goals, and that can prove to be very damaging. Dr. A.F. Pinto, who is the chairman of Ryan International Group of Institutions, a chain of private schools in India, had this to say about universal standards. Unrealistic, self-imposed, lofty goals for high marks, impractical expectations, and undue pressurizing by parents, peer competition, misplaced ambitions to outperform others are some of the aspects that mount overdue nervousness and overburdening. To sum it all up, the problem with the American dream is that it creates too much pressure to accomplish something, and that can seem very uninviting to most people. This idea of the American dream is harmful, and we need to remove this idea from it. So, how do we fix the American dream? Well, first of all, we need to no longer embrace it as a goal, but rather as a mindset. At its core, the American dream is about working hard to make something of yourself. That's the part of the dream that we need to preserve. Just believe in yourself. Thinking in this way creates a positive mindset. This transitions the American dream from being a task to a universal source of inspiration. The great thing about the American dream is being able to say, I have enough control over my life to accomplish something, even if you don't even know what that something is. The American dream is not about the goal, but the motivation needed to get there. You may be asking, why do we need to hold on to this idea of the American dream if it's just a mindset? Well, a positive mindset can go a long way. The American dream gives the motivation that can mean all the difference when accomplishing something. Rachel Grunwell is a personal trainer who works with runners. In an article she wrote, she stated that, "I tell my run clients that a key to getting to the finish line of any race is hugely on a positive mindset, so you need to keep believing in yourself." In this quote, she tells us exactly how significant a positive mindset can be. Finishing a race is a very challenging task, and having faith in something can just mean all the difference in helping you achieve it. The finish line is symbolic of anything you want to accomplish, so put your faith in the American dream and help it let you accomplish it. To sum it all up, think of Henry Ford's quote, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." This quote represents the American go-getter mindset that laid the foundation for the American dream. And who else better to have said it than one of America's most famous self-made men? Don't think of it as the American dream. Think of it as the American attitude. So what does this new American dream look like? One without goals, one where all you need to do is just make something of yourself in order to have achieved it. It was about 3 years back, I was at a music festival with one of my buddies, and we were hanging around the campfire, and as young people do, we were talking about our futures. A man roughly 3 tents down from us overheard us And he came down and he told us that we shouldn't worry so much and that there is a good life to live even without a strong education. He pointed to an old, rusted Ford truck about a couple cars down. What stood out about the truck, besides the orange color, was the fact that there was a little shed-like structure built at the very end of it. He turned back to us and said that he had been living in the back of that truck for nearly 60 years. At this point, me and my friend just assumed that he was another festival pothead. Like, what does living in the back of an old truck have anything to do with success? That's when he told us that happiness was not dependent on success, but success was dependent on happiness. The man clearly had something important he wanted to share with us, so we listened further. He said that he only wanted two things out of his life: to learn and to see the country. Normally, people would typically try to find a steady job and then use the money they get from that to travel around the United States. But no, not my guy. He dropped out of school at the age of 17. After he dropped out, he went out and bought that truck, and then later went and got a carpentry job. He slept inside of his truck until he was able to get enough wood to build himself that little shed that he had in the back of his cargo bed. After about a year of that carpentry job, he decided that he didn't want to do it anymore. So he quit his job and moved to another state where he took up a plumbing job. He didn't even know anything about plumbing, he just wanted to learn. After about a year of plumbing, he quit his job again and went to another state to work for another year. He kept doing this over the course of more than 50 years, and each time gaining a new skill that he could use. This man had no property, no family, hardly any money. Most people would qualify him as homeless. However, he was still successful. To me, this is what the modern American dream looks like. Having that drive to accomplish whatever goal you set out for yourself. He was not happy because he was successful. He was successful because he was happy. And that's why I can say with confidence that the most successful man I ever met was a pothead who lived in the back of his truck. In conclusion, I've learned that people should adopt the American dream not as an example for their life, but rather as a motivator. Don't make the American dream about an end goal if that end goal is anything more defined than just happiness. Not enough people embrace the benefits of the American dream mindset just due to a lack of understanding of what it is. It's about being able to pursue whatever you wish. Use the American dream to push you forward. And remember that success is whatever you want it to be. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.